You've been excellent for years and almost no one knows it. Visibility. This is a conversation I've been having quite a bit of late. I had a LinkedIn post on it over last week, and the kind of conversation it generated made me think, come, let's talk a little more about it. What is it about we as women and women founders that makes us find it less comfortable to stand and be seen? Let's start with the why. Why? Why are you hiding? Well, one example here is picture it. Huh? I have this experience myself. You are used to working in the background. You are excellent at your job. You do things marvelously. You get everything done on point, on time. Everything works like clockwork so that others can look good. Having worked in the legal field, it was more of a supporting role. So, always taking this backward space made it mean for me that being at the forefront was not me. So, this came to bear when opening up my own business, and then I need to be at the front. So, you'll have this when you now suddenly need to be the person who is not at the back but is the face of your business. It's quite a change. You've created the habit, a habit of invisibility. And it's not so much the fear of stepping out and being seen, it's just inexperience. It's a different identity. Now, the next one is no reflection. There's no mirror. You have not seen people like you. I'll tell you a story. Not so long ago, maybe in the last couple of weeks, I decided to rewatch The Lion King. I was immediately transported back to 1994 when the younger me went and borrowed a tape from my neighbor and I popped it into the VCR. This is the video cassette recorder for you who are trying to keep up. And I got completely lost. I was submerged into the world of The Lion King. I'd always thought it was the music, the clever rhetoric, James Earl Jones in my ear saying, remember who you are. What's his name? Jeremy Irons, this car saying he's surrounded by idiots. I absolutely loved that movie. But rewatching it now as an adult brought me to a realization. The thing that happened is that from the very first beginning scene is that this movie, even as an animation, is set in the East African savannah. It is set in a place that I have been to, a place that I have visited. And it was recognition. It was me being represented out there in the screen. You see, the conversation about the African continent, as shown by the media, has always been that there's not too much good that comes from there. Specifically, when I was growing up, the only thing that was newsworthy was wars and famine and such like negative context. So, for this movie to come up that then shows that there can be myth and stories and beauty and wonder that comes from the place that I am from completely changed things for me. Later, when the credits were rolling, I asked myself whether it is seeing movies such as these that has now enabled me to step up as an entrepreneur, to stand up for myself in my business, because I now had the belief that I can. The next one is the rules we are handed. As women, we get a specific set of instructions. Take up less space, be small, don't speak out of turn, try to minimize yourself as much as possible. And no one actually comes and sits you down and, it's not notes that you're taking about what the behavior you're meant to have. But absolutely every room you've stepped into as a woman, since you were a child, had that context around it. So, given this background, how then do we step out of the restraints? What to do? If this is part of the tapestry that has created the situation that we find ourselves in, how do we move away? So, the first one is get clear on your why. What is the reason, this thing that you want to do? What is your why? And making money is not a why. Making money is the result. Making money is the result of doing this thing well. But what is it that has pushed you forward? What is it that has made you do this particular thing and nothing else? Get deep down to your understanding of your why, and that then becomes your motivation. When things are not going well, when you don't really know if you want to do this anymore, write it down. Write down your why somewhere and put it in a place that you can see it. And let that be what you look at when you're feeling that it is not worth it for you to become visible. The next one is, do it and fail. Sounds scary, yeah? Do it and fail. It's giving yourself the option, the alternative of failing. I'll give it as a story. So before I wrote my book, I had just decided that I feel like getting published. So over the years, I had been writing poems. So I collected all of them and sent them forward to an editor. It took all my courage and all my effort and everything that I had in me to do that because I didn't know how good they were. I wanted to take the next step. So it was super, super, super difficult. But then I found an editor, I found her online, and then I sent it off to her. And what happened? Tragedy. She was very nice about it, but she came back, and the long and short of what she was telling me is that no, this is not it. This is not going to work. I was completely crushed. This was for me the absolute worst case scenario. As in, if I could have written it down myself and scripted it and said, what is the worst thing that could happen? That was it. And it had happened. I felt that the earth should have just open up and swallow me whole. I felt that I could not go on. What is this life? And then I took a breath. And then I took another breath. And I didn't die. I didn't die. This turned out to be a blessing in disguise because I still wanted to write. And what she had told me was that she had given me guidance on things that I could do. So since I still had this book inside me that wanted to come out, I signed up for a writing course and got the guidance and instructions on how to go about writing the book. This for me was absolutely priceless, and I was terrified every step of the way. But having that kind of guidance, and in fact, having failed, is a thing that showed me that failure is learning. And they say that you don't really fail at things you've never done before. If you don't know how to do it, then you don't really fail. You're just learning another way of doing it. So that for me was rough, it was tough, but because my why was deeper, because my why was really something that needed to get out of me, I managed to hold on to my why and to find a way to get to write. And this takes us to the next one because the next one is take small steps daily. And that is part of what I did in that example. I would wake up every morning quite early to write. And I just had that as a pattern. I had that as something I had structured to do, and I did it. As opposed to looking at this, putting my emphasis and all my effort on this grand selling huge book that I want to write, it was just what I was going to write on that day. It was the guidance that I was getting from the teachers in the course, step by step. And I'll give you an example from one of my clients who also had this huge idea. And she really felt like she was boiling the ocean in terms of everything that she envisioned. And she ended up just taking the one first step, just taking it one step at a time. And just that concentration. So instead of boiling the ocean, she dimmed it down to a tributary of a stream. And being able to do that, she was able to get away from all these fatalistic ideas that she had of all the things that could go wrong and take one step at a time. I'll give you the example of another friend. What she did, she also had an idea that was sitting on her shoulders that she felt was really, really, really huge and really big. And she took 10 to 15 minutes every day to sit down and visualize and feel what it would be like for her to achieve her goal. So the successful outcome. So she sat with it, working on her identity to align with a version of her who could do it. Now, the thing to do is to separate the thoughts from the facts. Thoughts are not real. If you have this thought process in your mind that says, people like me don't do XYZ, then it reinforces a problematic conversation that you're already having with yourself. So Once you realize that the thoughts you're having in your head, maybe it's something you were told when you were younger, it's something that doesn't belong within you, move it away and you will then be able to take the next steps. The question to you: what have you been protecting yourself from by staying hidden? And is it still worth the cost? This is the kind of conversation I have with women founders in my business, where we look at the decisions that will make their business move, stall, or change direction. Go make a decision.